the base of all the reason is just one source and half.
Let me see if there are other hands out here. Martin.
This is for Daniel, or actually for Wouter. So you talk about different components of magnetic fields. You were looking at your sources, and then I think it's going to be very tricky to really come up with a model of the structure based on these observations, because you're using different methodologies for different parts. So how would you? I'm a theorist, so I don't really, I know very little about the observations. So how are you going to really make sure you're reproducing the components of the magnetic fields that you're seeing? Did I make myself clear?
Yes, and I'm trying to think about the answer, because, like I mentioned before, and a little bit, let's say, outside the stage, I was speaking with him, and I mentioned that we are trying, for example, to measure the magnetic field in the ionized region, and also in the dust component, and then in the molecular gas component, right? And if you measure the magnetic field in those components, even though you're measuring it through different methods. Yes, I don't. I don't see why, even though you're probing it with different methods, why you would measure different things. In the end, if there is a global magnetic field, it would somehow show up through different ways, but in the end it's the same magnetic field, or at least that's what I think. But why would it be different? Why would we measure different magnetic field if we use different techniques? Why do you think?
Well, you may be probing different magnetic fields. So some magnetic fields would be maybe from the AGB. Maybe you may have magnetic fields from maybe a PLE, protoplanetary jet. Or maybe you may have some magnetic fields outside, so those you could probably with the paradigm rotation. But I think, so for me, I don't know, I'm just trying to understand the observations, and it would seem to me that if you had more than one magnetic component, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think, for example, that if the magnetic fields are enhanced in some regions, like shocked regions, then that wouldn't belong to the original, let's say, fossil magnetic field from the star, but still is a magnetic field that is there. So, yes, I think that the answer would be that we're just, like trying to detect all the magnetic fields that are present, and yes, not necessarily they would have the same origin. Yes. What I would say.
Just commenting on that, it's also worth noticing that with the masers, with the SI masers are closer to the star, the magnetic fields are higher, and then the water masers are lower, and then the OH masers are even lower. That's all the power law that Danny was showing. So it doesn't seem that they are random fields, different. It points to a global field, even though we cannot stress for sure. That's what the data seems to be.
Peter?
So I have a question for Tim Blattel. We know that on the AGB, the gas and the dust must be co-spatial, since the molecular hydrogen forms of gas. And what we see in Herschel imaging of planetary nebulae is that the dust and the gas are also very well correlated spatially. So it seems very strange that in most AGB stars that would not be the case. So does that mean that your objects are on a different evolutionary track?
So
you're referring to some of the objects where I said we don't see the dust.
Yes.
We see the
Radiation and molecular action, yes.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. I'm pretty convinced there's something strange going on. So, for example, with the first objects I showed, 18062, we see something that looks like a molecular torus in molecular hydrogen, but we don't see any scatter continuum. And for that object, we have imaging colorimetry in the near infrared, in the J and K bands, which will completely suppress the central star. But we don't see any polarized flux you would expect to be coming from a scattering envelope around the star. So it doesn't have the sort of matter dust that I might expect to be there. I mean, maybe it isn't really a high mass core. Maybe it isn't at 0.86 masses. It could be lower mass, but even so, it's surprisingly little in the way of dust around the star.
We are just about out of time here. Any further questions? Christoph, High Priest, got anything for us? No.
I have a question that it was supposed to be for Walter, but I guess it's going to be for Daniel and probably Marcelo and Andres and Sofia, I don't know. Anyway, so you mentioned that you have SIO masers in like a 2-stellar, right? And then you have 8 water masers and then you have OH masers, right? Do we know if they are sort of tracing, I think this is actually following what he mentioned that you have the power law and you're probably going to have different conditions that could create these masers or pop up these masers. But I was thinking if we know that these, let's say, SIO masers are correlated to a single binary disk, and then the water masers are some sort of a tori, and then the OH masers is the envelope. Do we know this, or?
Yes, well, in principle, for example, in many of the sources that we have studied, the SIO masers are in the very central part, and then the water masers are, in the case of W43A, the water masers are tracing the bipolar outflow, very collimated bipolar outflow, and the OH masers will be tracing more like the circumstellar envelope from the AGB phase. So yes, definitely tracing different regions and with different physical conditions. So, but yes, like I said before, I mean, when you measure the magnetic field using these probes, basically you're measuring the magnetic field in that region under those physical conditions. And yes, we cannot. We cannot tell that the magnetic field. If you measure some given magnetic field from the water maser, in principle, yes, it wouldn't. You could not use that information to infer the strength of the magnetic field up in other places under some other physical conditions. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's thank the speakers in this session.
Hi, please, if you aim to have somebody that is not registered to participate to the conference dinner or to check that it is on this list, if it's not the case, advise me, I have to finally book the buses to go there to pay them. So if you are not, if your guest is not in this list, you will not go there. So please advise me. And if you don't want to come, I don't know why, please advise us, of course. Okay, so we are not looking for somebody that is not able to come. Secondly, coffee break now. Just after the coffee break, the poster session. So if you have a poster between 1 and 16 here, be here. You will have 1 minute to present your poster. And please, the other one, be at time inside. If you miss 3 minutes, you miss 3 guys.
Bye.